My name is Adriana. I'm 22 years old, and on Christmas Eve, my parents threw me out like garbage. My sister laughed right in my face, and then a barefoot woman appeared out of nowhere. Before I continue, please like this video, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. It really helps this channel survive. You know what hurts the most? It's not the cold. It's not the hunger. It's when the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally look at you like you're nothing. Like you're a problem that needs to be removed. That's what my parents did to me. On Christmas Eve. The one night when families are supposed to come together, when homes are supposed to feel warm and safe, they chose that night to destroy me. Let me take you back. Let me show you how a family can rot from the inside while everyone on the outside thinks everything is perfect. I grew up in a house where love had conditions, where acceptance came with a price tag I could never afford. My older sister, Victoria, was the golden child. Everything she did was brilliant. Everything she said was right. And me? I was the shadow, the mistake, the one who could never measure up no matter how hard I tried. My parents didn't just favor her. They worshipped her. When she got a B on a test, it was because the teacher was unfair. When I got an A, it was because the test was too easy. When she broke something, it was an accident. When I breathed too loud, it was disrespectful. Do you understand what that does to a person? Do you understand what it feels like to live in a house where your existence is treated like an inconvenience? Victoria knew exactly what she was doing. She played them like instruments. Behind their backs, she would torment me. She'd steal my things and hide them. She'd spread lies about me to our relatives. She'd pinch me under the table during dinner and then cry that I was being mean to her. And every single time my parents believed her. Every single time. By the time I turned 22, I was barely holding on. I was working 2 jobs, trying to save money to move out. I was suffocating in that house, but I kept telling myself, just a few more months. Just until I have enough saved. Just until I can escape. But Victoria couldn't let that happen. She needed her punching bag. She needed someone to blame, someone to make herself feel superior to. So when Christmas Eve came around, she orchestrated the perfect trap. We were supposed to have a big family dinner. My parents had invited relatives, neighbors, people from their church. They wanted to show off. They wanted everyone to see their perfect family, their perfect decorations, their perfect roast turkey. I spent the entire day helping prepare. I cleaned the house from top to bottom. I set the table. I arranged the centerpiece exactly how my mother wanted it. And then, an hour before the guests arrived, Victoria went to my parents crying. Actually crying. Real tears streaming down her face. She told them that I had ruined the dessert she'd spent all day making. She said I knocked it off the counter on purpose because I was jealous of her baking skills. She said I had been sabotaging the dinner all day because I hated the family and wanted to ruin Christmas. None of it was true. Not a single word. I hadn't even been in the kitchen when her dessert fell. But she had evidence, she said. She had seen me. And my parents didn't even ask for my side of the story. My father's face turned red. That vein in his forehead started throbbing the way it always did before he exploded. My mother just stared at me with such cold disappointment, like she had finally found the proof she'd been waiting for that I was worthless. Get out, my father said. His voice was so quiet it was terrifying. Get out of this house. We're done with you. I tried to explain. I tried to tell them it wasn't me. But my mother cut me off. We've given you everything, she hissed. We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. And this is how you repay us? By trying to ruin our Christmas? By embarrassing us in front of everyone. But I didn't, I started. Enough, my father roared. He grabbed my arm so hard I knew it would bruise. He dragged me to my room and threw a suitcase at me. Pack. Now. You have 10 minutes. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely fold my clothes. I stuffed whatever I could grab into that suitcase. Jeans. Sweaters. Underwear. My hands moved on autopilot while my brain screamed that this couldn't be happening. Not on Christmas Eve. Not like this. When I came back downstairs with my suitcase, Victoria was standing in the hallway with my parents. She had her arms crossed. And she was smiling, not even trying to hide it anymore. "Finally," she said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "Let's see how you survive without us. Let's see how long you last out there when nobody wants you." My mother turned her face away. My father opened the front door, letting in a blast of freezing air. Snow was falling heavily outside. The temperature had dropped below freezing hours ago. "Out," my father said. I looked at my mother one last time, hoping she would change her mind. Hoping she would remember that I was her daughter. That I was a human being. That it was Christmas Eve and they were throwing me out into the freezing night with nowhere to go. But she just stood there, her lips pressed into a thin line, her eyes empty. I walked out the door. And behind me, I heard Victoria laugh. A high, delighted laugh. And then I heard her phone camera click. She was taking pictures. Recording this moment. My humiliation. My destruction. She was probably already posting it somewhere. Already spinning the story to make herself look like the victim of a toxic sister who finally got what she deserved. The door slammed behind me. I heard the lock click. And just like that, I was alone. Homeless. On Christmas Eve. Honestly, most people scroll past moments like this. If you're still here, you're different. So subscribe, or tell me in the comments why you don't want to support creators who put their entire heart into these stories. The cold hit me like a physical force. The kind of cold that makes your lungs ache when you breathe. The kind that seeps through your clothes in seconds and wraps around your bones. I stood on their front porch for a minute, maybe two, just staring at the door. Part of me kept expecting it to open. Part of me kept thinking my mother would come out, would apologize, would tell me it was all a mistake. But the door stayed closed. The lights inside glowed warm and golden. Through the window, I could see the Christmas tree twinkling. I could see Victoria hugging my mother. I could see them laughing together. And I was outside in the snow with a half-packed suitcase and $17 in my pocket. I started walking. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anywhere to go. My friends had all gone home for the holidays. The shelters would be full on Christmas Eve. I didn't have enough money for a hotel. I just walked. The streets were mostly empty. A few cars passed by, their headlights cutting through the falling snow. Inside those cars were families. People going to Christmas parties. People going home to warmth and love and safety. Nobody looked at me. Nobody stopped. I walked for over an hour. My fingers went numb inside my gloves. My face burned from the cold. My suitcase felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Eventually, I reached a small park on the edge of town. There was a bench under a streetlight, covered in a thin layer of snow. I brushed off the snow and sat down. And that's when I finally let myself cry. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. All the years of being invisible, of being the scapegoat, of being unloved in my own home, it all came pouring out. I cried until my throat was raw and my eyes were swollen. I cried until I had no tears left. And then I just sat there. Numb. Empty. Watching the snow fall and wondering how my life had come to this. People walked past the park. A couple holding hands, laughing about something. A man walking his dog. A group of teenagers smoking cigarettes by the playground. Not one of them looked at me. Not one of them wondered why a young woman was sitting alone on a frozen bench on Christmas Eve with a suitcase by her side. I had never felt more invisible in my entire life. I had never felt more worthless. I started thinking dark thoughts. Thoughts I'm not proud of. Thoughts about how maybe everyone would be better off if I just disappeared. If I just closed my eyes and let the cold take me. At least then I wouldn't hurt anymore. But then, I saw her. At first, I thought I was hallucinating from the cold. Because what I was seeing didn't make sense. A woman was walking through the park. Not walking normally, stumbling. Holding onto trees for balance. And she was barefoot. Completely barefoot in the snow. Her feet were purple. Actually purple. Her toes looked like they might fall off. She was wearing a thin dress, no coat, her hair matted to her head with snow. Her lips were blue. Her whole body was shaking violently. She looked like she was dying. And everyone around her just kept walking. Nobody stopped. Nobody helped. They looked at her like she was invisible, like she was a ghost they could see through. Something inside me broke. Or maybe something inside me finally woke up. I stood up. My own body was screaming at me to stay sitting, to conserve what little warmth I had left. But I couldn't. I couldn't watch this woman freeze to death, while people just walked past her. I went to her. She was leaning against a tree, barely able to stand. Up close, she looked even worse. Her skin was almost translucent from the cold. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. "Ma'am?" I said. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" She looked at me like she was surprised someone was talking to her. Like she hadn't heard a human voice in a long time. "Cold," she whispered. Her voice was so faint I almost didn't hear it. "So cold." I looked down at my feet. At my winter boots. They were good boots, thick and warm, the only truly expensive thing I owned. I had saved for months to buy them. And without thinking, without hesitating, I bent down and unlaced them. I pulled them off my feet and handed them to her. "Here," I said. "Take these. Please." She stared at the boots like she didn't understand what they were. Then she looked up at me, and something in her eyes changed. Sharpened. Focused. "Thank you," she whispered. She said it like those two words meant everything. Like nobody had said anything kind to her in years. She took the boots with trembling hands and somehow managed to put them on. They were too big for her, but she didn't care. The relief on her face was immediate. My own feet were now in socks on the frozen ground. Within seconds, the cold started biting through. But I didn't care. Looking at this woman, at the gratitude in her eyes, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt like I mattered. Like I had done something good. Like maybe my existence wasn't completely worthless. The woman looked at me for a long time. She wasn't blinking. It was like she was studying me, memorizing my face. "Why are you out here?" she asked. Her voice was stronger now, clearer. "Why are you alone on Christmas Eve?" And I don't know why. Maybe because I had nothing left to lose, maybe because she was a stranger, and strangers can't hurt you more than family already has, but I told her everything. I told her about my parents, about Victoria, about being thrown out. I told her about years of being invisible and unloved. I told her about sitting on this bench wondering if anyone would even notice if I disappeared. She listened to every word. She didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. She just listened with these soft, steady eyes that made me feel like maybe, for the first time in my life, someone actually saw me. When I finished, she nodded slowly. Like she had heard stories like mine before. Like she understood. "Good hearts are tested the hardest," she said quietly. "Remember that. The world breaks the kind ones first because it's afraid of what they might become." Before I could ask what she meant, she reached out and squeezed my hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Thank you," she said again, "for seeing me when no one else would." And then she turned and walked away, still wearing my boots, disappearing into the falling snow like a ghost. I sat back down on the bench, my feet now completely numb. I didn't regret giving her the boots. I didn't regret helping her. But I also knew I had just made my own situation 10 times worse. How was I supposed to survive the night now? How was I supposed to walk anywhere without shoes? I pulled my knees to my chest and tried to preserve what little body heat I had left. The cold was getting dangerous now. My thoughts were starting to get fuzzy. My shivering had become almost violent. This is it, I thought. This is how it ends. Frozen on a park bench on Christmas Eve because I was stupid enough to give away the one thing keeping me alive. But at least I had helped someone. At least my last act on this earth was kindness. I closed my eyes. If you were in my situation, what would you do? And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It costs nothing but means everything for channels like mine. Don't skip this part. I don't know how long I sat there with my eyes closed. Time had stopped making sense. But suddenly I heard something that pulled me back. Engines. Multiple engines. Getting closer. I opened my eyes and saw headlights. Lots of them. coming down the street toward the park. At first, I thought it was some kind of parade. But as the vehicles got closer, I realized they were all the same. Identical black BMWs, luxury cars, spotless despite the snow, moving in perfect formation. One car would have been strange. 19 cars was impossible. They pulled up along the street beside the park, one after another, parking in a perfect line like soldiers. The engines cut off simultaneously. For a moment, everything was silent except for the sound of falling snow. And then the doors opened, all at once, like it had been choreographed. Men stepped out, all wearing black coats, all tall and serious. They formed a line along the sidewalk, standing at attention like guards. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. My brain was screaming at me that this was dangerous, that I needed to run, but my body was too frozen to respond. One of the men walked toward me. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would break through my ribs. This was it. I was about to be kidnapped. Or killed. Or worse. But he walked past me. He walked to the center of the line of cars and opened the back door of the middle vehicle. And she stepped out. The barefoot woman. Except she wasn't barefoot anymore. She was wearing my boots, yes, but everything else about her had transformed. Her hair was clean and styled. Her dress was gone, replaced by an elegant coat that probably cost more than my parents' car. Her face was no longer purple from cold. It glowed with warmth and health and something else. Power. She radiated power. She looked like a completely different person. Like she had shed a disguise and revealed her true self. She walked toward me slowly, her eyes locked on mine. The men in black coats moved aside to let her pass. I tried to stand up, but my legs wouldn't work. I was trembling so hard I couldn't control my body. From cold, from fear, from complete and total confusion. She stopped in front of me. She looked down at me with those same soft eyes, but now there was something else in them. Something that looked like satisfaction. Like she had been waiting for this moment. And then she spoke. Just one sentence. But it was a sentence that would change my entire life. Come with me. Your life is about to change. Her voice was different too. No longer weak and trembling. Now it was strong. Confident. The voice of someone who was used to being obeyed. What? I stammered. I don't understand. She smiled. Not a cruel smile like Victoria's. A genuine smile that reached her eyes. I test people, she said simply. I walk through cities on the coldest nights, dressed as someone helpless, someone desperate. And I watch. I watch how people react. Most walk past. Most pretend not to see. Some even laugh. Some even spit. She knelt down so she was at eye level with me. But you, she continued, you gave me your boots. You gave me the one thing keeping you alive. You saw me as a human being when you were barely surviving yourself. Do you understand how rare that is? I shook my head. I couldn't process what she was saying. Nothing made sense. My name is Catherine Moreau, she said. My family owns Moreau Industries. We have holdings in real estate, technology, manufacturing, hospitality. We employ over 50,000 people worldwide. And I have made it my mission to find people who possess something money cannot buy. Genuine compassion. Real kindness. The kind of goodness that survives even when the world tries to kill it. She stood up and held out her hand to me. I reward kindness, she said. Follow me. I stared at her hand. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen. Not to people like me. Not to people who had been thrown away like garbage. I have nothing, I whispered. I have nowhere to go. No money. No family. I can't. You have exactly what I need, Catherine interrupted. You have a good heart. Everything else I can provide. One of the men in black coats approached with a pair of elegant shoes and a warm coat. Catherine gestured for him to give them to me. First, let's get you warm, she said. Then we'll talk about your future. I took the shoes with shaking hands. They fit perfectly. The coat was the softest, warmest thing I had ever felt. The moment it wrapped around my shoulders, I felt like I could breathe again. Catherine helped me to my feet. My legs were weak, but they held. "Come," she said gently. "There's someone I want you to meet. Yourself. The version of you that you were always meant to become." She led me to the middle car. The interior was warm and smelled like leather and pine. There were heated seats. There was hot chocolate waiting in an insulated container. There was a blanket. I sat down and immediately started crying again. But these were different tears. These weren't tears of despair. These were tears of shock, of relief, of complete and utter disbelief. "Why me?" I asked through my tears. "Why would you do this for me?" Catherine settled into the seat across from me. She looked at me with such kindness that it hurt. "Because the world needs more people like you," she said. "Because compassion is the rarest resource on this planet. Because I see something in you that you don't see in yourself yet. But you will. I promise you will." The car started moving. Through the window, I watched the park disappear. I watched that frozen bench where I had almost given up fade into the distance. And for the first time in my entire life, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I was going somewhere that mattered. If this story touched you even a little bit, please subscribe. And if you won't comment why, I genuinely want to know. The next 6 months were like living in a dream. Catherine didn't just offer me shelter, she offered me a complete transformation. She took me to one of her properties, a beautiful apartment in the city with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline. She told me it was mine for as long as I needed it. No rent, no strings attached. She gave me clothes, food, everything I needed to recover from that night. But more than that, she gave me something I had never had before. She gave me belief. Belief that I was worth investing in. After a week of rest, she offered me a position in her company. Entry level, she said, but with opportunities to grow if I worked hard and proved myself. I worked harder than I had ever worked in my life. I showed up early. I stayed late. I learned everything I could. I asked questions. I took on extra projects. I refused to waste the opportunity Catherine had given me. And Catherine, she became my mentor. She taught me about business, about leadership, about how to navigate a world that often rewards cruelty and punishes kindness. She taught me that being good didn't mean being weak, that compassion could coexist with strength. Never apologize for your kindness, she told me once. The world will try to convince you that caring about others is a weakness. The world is wrong. Your compassion is your superpower. It's what will set you apart from everyone else climbing this ladder. Never lose it. I rose through the company faster than anyone expected. Within 3 months, I was managing a small team. Within 6 months, I was leading major projects. I was good at my job. Really good. And for the first time in my life, I felt proud of myself. I had my own money, my own independence, my own identity separate from my family's constant criticism. I didn't contact my parents. I didn't contact Victoria. I blocked their numbers. I moved on, or at least I tried to, because even though my life had transformed, even though I was successful and stable and happy, there was still a wound inside me, a wound that hadn't healed, the wound of being thrown away by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. Catherine noticed. She always noticed. "You're allowed to grieve," she told me one afternoon in her office. "You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to hurt. What they did to you is unforgivable. Don't rush yourself to forgive. Don't let anyone tell you that you need to let it go before you're ready." Those words gave me permission to feel everything I had been suppressing. The rage, the betrayal, the deep, aching sadness of knowing that my own parents chose cruelty over love. And then, exactly 6 months after that Christmas Eve, I received a message. It was from Victoria. My hands shook when I saw her name on my phone screen. I almost deleted it without reading. But something made me open it. The message said, "Can we talk?" 3 words. That's all. No apology. No explanation. Just a question. I stared at those words for a long time, and I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness. I wasn't ready for that, and maybe I never would be. But something else. Something like power. Like control. Because for the first time in my relationship with Victoria, I had a choice. I held the power. She was the one asking. She was the one reaching out. And I could respond however I wanted. I thought about ignoring her, about blocking her like I had blocked everyone else, about never giving her the satisfaction of a response. But then I thought about Catherine's words, about how compassion doesn't mean weakness, about how strength means setting boundaries, not building walls. I typed back, "You have 5 minutes. Say what you need to say." Her response came almost immediately. She was waiting. She had probably been waiting for days, wondering if I would respond. She started typing. I could see the 3 dots indicating she was writing something. They appeared and disappeared several times, like she was writing and deleting, writing and deleting. Finally, a message came through. "I need your help. Mom and Dad's business is failing. They're going to lose the house. I don't know what to do. I don't know who else to ask. Please." I read the message 3 times, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction at their downfall. No anger. No desire for revenge. Just emptiness. Like I was reading about strangers in a news article. I typed back, "I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm not the person to help you with this." "But you're doing so well now," she wrote back quickly. "I saw your LinkedIn. I saw you're working for Moreau Industries. You're successful. You could help us. Please. I'm begging you." And there it was. The real reason she reached out. Not because she missed me. Not because she felt guilty. Because she needed something from me. Because she thought I could be useful now. I felt a flash of the old anger. The old hurt. But I didn't let it control me. I wrote, "Victoria, you laughed when they threw me out. You recorded it. You posted it online for people to mock me. You stood there on Christmas Eve and told me to see how long I'd survive without you. I did survive. I survived because of my own strength and because a stranger showed me more kindness in one night than my own family showed me in 22 years. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe them anything. I hope you find a way through your situation. I really do. But I'm not going to be part of it. Goodbye." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. She tried calling. I didn't answer. She sent more messages. I didn't read them. I blocked her number. For real this time. And then I put my phone down and I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I was free. Really, truly free. I had set a boundary. I had protected myself. I had chosen my own well-being over their demands. And it felt like dropping a 1,000-pound weight I'd been carrying my entire life. That was 8 months ago. It's summer now. I'm still working for Catherine. I've been promoted twice. I have my own team, my own projects, my own office with a view. I have friends now. Real friends who celebrate my successes and support me through my struggles. I have a life that belongs to me. Catherine and I have lunch together once a week. She's become more than a mentor. She's become the mother figure I never had. She's proud of me. She tells me so. And every time she does, something inside me heals a little bit more. I think about that night sometimes. That Christmas Eve. How close I came to giving up. How close I came to letting the cold take me. And I think about the barefoot woman I gave my boots to, not knowing she would save my life in return. I learned something that night. Something I want everyone watching this to understand. Your family doesn't have to be the people you're born to. Your family can be the people who choose you. The people who see your worth when you can't see it yourself. The people who lift you up instead of tearing you down. And I learned that kindness is never wasted, even when it costs you everything. Even when it seems like the stupidest, most dangerous thing you could do. Kindness creates ripples. It comes back to you in ways you can't predict. I was kind to a stranger on the worst night of my life. And that stranger gave me back my life. So if you're out there right now, feeling invisible, feeling worthless, feeling like your family doesn't see you or love you or want you, I need you to hear this. You are not worthless. You are not invisible. You matter. Your kindness matters. Your existence matters. The people who can't see your value are the ones missing out. Not you. Never you. And sometimes on the coldest nights, when you give away the last thing keeping you warm, that's exactly when the universe sends 19 black cars to remind you that your goodness was seen, that your heart was noticed, that you were never as alone as you felt. My name is Adriana. I'm 22 years old, and I survived the night my family threw me away because I chose kindness over bitterness, because I chose to see another person's pain even when I was drowning in my own. And that choice changed everything. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for listening to my story. If it meant something to you, please let me know in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story. You're not alone. None of us are alone. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Stories about pain, survival, and the unexpected ways the universe rewards those who refuse to let cruelty turn them cruel. This is Adriana, signing off. Remember, good hearts are tested the hardest, but they're also the ones that change the world.